vibe ting. Some good tea. But let's up, everybody. You don't know I am Heinz, and today in hindsight, first off, check these cups out. These are a vibe. I just got these. I'm so happy about these. I've been looking for some nice clay cups. This feels like the original cup that humans made. I swear it makes the water taste and feel so much better. I'll do a video on these another time. But today, I'm going to bless y'all with some long form content. I was recently on a podcast called the Brown Girl Tokes podcast, and I really enjoyed myself on this podcast because we talked about a whole spectrum of ideas that I haven't even fully dived into on this channel. We talked about my experience in Hollywood, living with Sean Kingston, touring with Tory Lanez. We talked about my celibacy for 3 years. We talked about my time and my experiences in India. And it was just a lot of value that I want to bring to the channel. It's about an hour long, no video, just audio, but I put a nice little visualizer on there in hindsight. And I think y'all will enjoy it. So, grab your tea, kick back, and you don't know. It's a vibe thing. And let me know what you think.
So welcome back, everybody. This is episode 3 of the Brown Girl Tokes podcast, and I have a very special guest with me here today, someone who I've been really excited to sit down and talk with for quite a while, Mr. Hindsight. Thank you for coming out here and helping me through the technical difficulties and helping us get this podcast up and going.
Yeah, I'm glad I could be of value in that way and to be here. So thank you for having me here. It's a blessing.
So the other day you posted like a throwback picture, and it didn't seem like that was the same Heinz I was looking at in the before picture,
right,
and the after picture.
Right.
Can you
the evolution?
Yeah. Can you tell us what started that growth?
We're gonna have to. Yeah, this is a story. I posted that picture first off though because I just like to reflect like that, because there's a lot of new people who are kind of coming towards me. So there's people who know that version of Heinz, right? There's people who follow my journey for like the last 8-9 years. There's people that know, but there's people like, let's say like you,
right, who
didn't know me then. So they see that, they're like, holy, you look completely different. Like, what were you doing then? It's a different vibe. But that picture was when I was in Los Angeles. So that was about, I don't know, maybe like 7 years ago, probably like 6-7 years ago. And I was shooting a lot of music videos then. I was living in Hollywood, so I was living with Sean Kingston, and I was in this different mind frame. I was really trying to work with the biggest and the best and trying to navigate my career by those kind of building blocks. I wanted to be the biggest music video director. I was inspired by like Colin Tilley and obviously like Director X and like throwback Hype Williams, but like my focus then was like I want to be like a music video director. So that's like my mind frame then. To like jump to like, so how do you want me to frame this? Do you want me to go like way back, like, because this is a story. This is like a long story.
Well, I'm always curious to know like what was the turning point? Like what was the aha moment where you're like, wait, there's this whole world over here that I need to explore right now.
Right. So I remember one time I was in Brazil. I said this before. I was in Brazil and I was I was with Sean Kingston. I was filming him and we did a show. And I remember T-Pain just went on. And then after Sean went on, so I was filming and there was like 80,000 people at this show. So it was really insane to be like on stage filming and just have like 80,000 people in front of me. And I had like mega gratitude and I was happy because growing up I never got to travel anywhere. So to be in that situation because of my camera, which I just picked up the camera probably like 1 year before that. So from like picking up a camera to like 1 year like in Brazil on this like crazy tour, it was amazing. But I had like this feeling within myself that kept saying like, yo, you have a story you need to tell yourself. And even the way Sean Kingston would treat me and Tory Lanez, like they would always like push me to get on camera. They would always like shout me out and say my name. And I never seen artists really do that with videographers before, right? They just like recognize something in me. And I always, within myself, I was always like, man, you got to switch the perspective. Like, I'm not going to say I'm not supposed to be shooting for these people, but you're supposed to turn the camera the other way around. But I didn't know what that meant because I'm like, really, what do you mean? Like, what's my story? And I had to go develop that story. So I had to like, I'm a firm believer that, sometimes to completely like open a new space in a new mind frame, you got to close one. So I had to like leave that perspective and leave that lifestyle that I was doing in LA and just come back to Vancouver and like kind of start from ground zero and be like, okay, like what am I going to create and what do I want to do? And I didn't know at first. I actually sold my camera because I had no idea. My whole thing was like I want to shoot for artists. But then when that wasn't bringing me, you know, I would say just simple terms, the happiness that I thought it would bring me, it was bringing me more hype. Like people were looking at me like, yo, this is really dope. I remember like I had like Sean gave me like this really dope like golden crested Jesus piece. Like the perception was amazing. Like everybody was like, yo, you living the life, you taking these trips, you like with like these celebrities, you doing like this crazy stuff. But I wasn't like genuinely like happy. Like I was super I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy.
You were just caught up in the wave and you just
and I knew it, but I was like I'm somebody who just likes to work really hard. So regardless, I'm like I worked hard through it, and it boosted my value at that time, in the sense that it boosted my brand, because now it's just how it is. Like when you work with certain people or brands, like I ended up working with the Marleys as well, and that was like a passion project. But when you work with certain people, it almost gives you this validation. But what I really disliked was anytime I met somebody or anytime I was introduced to somebody, they would say, oh, this is Hines, this is Mr. Hines, he shoots for Tory Lanez. Or they'd be like, oh, he shoots for Sean Kingston. And it was always like, and this wasn't my ego or pride. This was just something that I wanted to change. I wanted to change my narrative. I'm like, I didn't want me being introduced and have another man's name in front of my name. It was literally always Sean Kingston. This is who he is. And that's how I was like validated. And I was like, man, I want to like people introduce me. It's just like, this is Hines.
Right.
He's a creative.
Yeah.
You know, he's an artist. Like he does what he does. And I'm like, well, you know, you have to earn that. That's something you have to earn. Like these people earn their names. I'm like, how am I going to earn mine? And I just didn't think I was going to earn it that way. I just felt like if I go this way, I'm always going to be known for these guys dudes. Right. You know, like I knew Tory before. I knew Tory when he was blowing up. I knew him when he got signed. I was working with him when he got signed. But like I knew him. I was on it early. Like I known him early because I knew he was going to really blow up.
Right.
And I was like, even when he got signed around then, he was like, yo, like come on tour. And when I decided not to, at first I was like, I really should do this because I'm like, this would be like really hype. But at the same time, I was like, I'm just going to be known for like being Tory's dude. And yeah, I'm going to get limelight. I'm going to get followers. I'll get paid. But I didn't feel like I was going to be, in hindsight, I didn't think I was going to be in the environment to truly find out what my purpose was. Yeah. Right. It's hard to find my purpose if I'm like high chase speed, you know, on tour, and it's a whole different lifestyle. Yeah. Right. So I had to scale back. Like scale way back.
So that was the first time that you were like, okay, things need to change.
Yeah, things need to change, and I'm like, things need to change. So I came back and I just sold my camera, to be honest. I was still working a bit, but I just like took a regular job editing for a company, and I just went on like a different journey. I just went on a journey. I'm like, who do I want to be? Like, what are the things I want to be known for? And I always felt like when I was young, I always felt like I always say tuned in. I felt like I had more knowledge of self. And I would say like growing up with like, you know, some pressures and influence. And when I started to really get into like making music into the hip hop scene, and, you know, I started smoking weed, you know, I drink with my friends here and there. I feel like I kind of lost a sense of myself then. And I feel like I was like in a different kind of motion. And I'm like, I want to come back to myself. Like, who am I? So I really just took a time off from everything. I kind of went into, I always say like a hibernation. I went to like complete hibernation, and, you know, I just started to study myself.
And like, so everyone does that in a different way. Like, for me, figuring out what my purpose was, just like you said, taking a step back, but then just doing things and failing, and then doing things and figuring out what I like and what I don't like. And was that something that you did as well, or was it more just internal?
Well, I think I did that, right? Like I think I did something, and I'm not gonna call it a failure, but I realized something wasn't making me happy. Yeah. So then I'm like, okay, I gotta do something else. And then basically, I just went to the root. You know, I had a lot of I've always been a very confident person. I've always believed in myself from very young, but I always had like a lot of social anxiety. So like even when I'd be in LA or anywhere, I had like social anxiety. Like I'm an introvert by nature, but I was like, that social anxiety would really bother me. I'm like, I want to be able to like really, this confidence I feel within myself, I want to be able to command that everywhere I go. So for me, there's just certain things. I just started to change the root of everything I do. So the first thing I started to do is I started to change the way I eat, because I started to like go into rabbit holes on YouTube and get into information, and started to learn that, like, you know, the food that you put in your body does have like a reflection on how you feel, how you think. And growing up, I never really made that connection, because I never could gain weight anyway. So I just ate whatever I want. And when I started to change the way I eat, I started to change the way I think. And at this time, I was starting to grow my hair. So I was starting to really tune into growing my hair. Was interesting because I say like dreadlocks are like a spiritual journey.
Yeah.
Because they teach you lessons as you go. It's like a process. And like, you know, when you start to grow them, it's this new exciting process. And then it gets to this parts where like you just look ugly because like they're just getting weird, and like, you know, they're not fully there yet. And then you got to like walk around like that. And I was always like somebody I like to like look real cute, and I always was like real fly, had like a bald fade and everything. So that was kind of hard for me. So it teaches you different stages. So at the same time, I'm changing the way I eat, and at the same time, I'm like changing my appearance, and I'm going through this spiritual journey through my hair, and I'm like really tuning into like the Rastafarian lifestyle, and just taking knowledge from that. Because growing up, I was always big on reggae, so I was always listening to reggae, right? Like my part of my heritage is Jamaican, so reggae and like dancehall was a big influence in my life. But like at this time, I really started to absorb everything they were saying, especially like Bob and like Peter Tosh and Burning Spears. I was like, wow, like they're really teaching me right now. And as I continued, I just kept on learning about more spiritual practices I could bring into my life. And I started to do yoga. That was something I never did before. And I started to really learn about my breath and, you know, stillness. And then from there, I was like, you know, I don't even want to smoke weed anymore. I'm like, because I used to smoke like every single day. I know this podcast called Brown Girl Tokes, but like I used to smoke weed every single day, you know, like smoke weed, make beats. Is like all my homies smoke weed. Like it's just, you know, the lifestyle. But I was like, I don't even want to smoke weed. So I quit smoking weed. And then I was like, I don't want to drink no more. Like, so I just quit drinking. And then it just kept going. Then I was like, I don't even want to deal with girls right now. I was like, I want to go. I learned about celibacy. I found this thing online, and someone was talking about, you know, the power of your creative energy can really come from your sexual energy. Transmutation. And when I found that out, I was like, it's like a light bulb. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like I can have like unlimited energy into my creativity. And at this point, I'm trying to find new ways to create. So I'm like, this seems perfect. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go a year celibate. A year goes by, and I'm like, I'm just starting to change. At first, people thought I was going crazy. Like, no,
it's always the first reaction.
No, my mom, people were very worried because, you know, I'm not like eating dinner with them anymore, because I also stopped eating meat at this point. Right. So I'm like not eating dinner with them anymore. They know me just to eat a certain way, but now I'm only eating like fruits, veggies. I'm growing my hair out, and they're just like, yeah, you're becoming a fucking weirdo. Like that's basically what it was like. Right. And they're like, my mom was worried. People were like, plus I'm just like disappeared off the grid. Like at one point I'm just like traveling the world, doing all these crazy things. And the next point it's just like, yo, what's going on? But like I was like happy just like doing like ordinary things. I would like wake up and make a smoothie, and I would just be having like the time of my life. I'm like, this is crazy that like I could be at home in my element, feeling like high off these vibrations, versus being in like Hollywood around like the craziest celebrities and me not feeling that good.
Because you feed off the energies as well, right?
Oh, like, yeah, I'm very sensitive to energies. Like I'm very like in tune with my surroundings.
Yeah, so like when you're surrounded with such low vibes and low frequencies, it weighs on you as well.
Oh, 100%. And you need to learn how to absorb those and like, you know, be able to be conscious of the energy around you. And I wasn't at that time. I had to learn these things. And I feel like once you learn how to like master your own energy, which I feel like you're always like learning your own energy, but once you come to a place where you're like, yo, I'm a master of my own energy, then you can like really understand other people. Because once I started to master my own energy, I kind of saw the social anxiety disappear. Like I'm still a shy person, but if I need to be extroverted, I'll be extroverted. If I need to like go talk to somebody and have like a conversation, I could do it. Before, I'd be terrified. I'd be terrified of talking to people in public. I'd just be like terrified. Now I'm like, whatever, because I understand my energy. And the more I started to understand myself, I started to understand other people, right? That's why I would say like in Rastafari, they call it I and I, because it's like I is I, and then like you are me as well. So it's like when I understand myself, I understand you. Like we are reflections of one another, right? And I think that taught me a lot. So I'm like, I really started to dive deep, and everything became about like myself, not in a selfish way, but understanding myself. And I started to really practice discipline, because I was like, oh, I realized I was living my life very happy. Wasn't even at this point, I'm still not putting out content, but you know, I wasn't eating anything like processed. I was like, so I had like the cleanest diet ever. Like people were like, wow, you're strict. Like I wasn't smoking weed. I wasn't like drinking. I wasn't like, you know, dealing with any woman. I had no crutches. Right. And I realized I'm like thriving off my own energy. Like there's nothing I'm going to like, fulfill me except for like myself.
Yeah.
Now that's powerful.
Yeah.
And now people are starting to notice that. I'm starting to notice that like my experiences with people are changing. People are gravitating towards me. And now I'm just kind of on Snapchat, you know, documenting my life inside. And people are seeming to be interested in me just like making a smoothie or just at home or just listening to my vibes. Or like I was always big into like where I live just being a sanctuary. So I always had lots of plants and like I was at that time I was living in New West, so I put up all this bamboo around me and I was just like made it like a tropical paradise. So I felt like I was in Jamaica and people were like interested. They're like, yo, this guy's like in a vibe. And once I started to realize people kind of getting interested, I kind of naturally just started to make content again. And I was like, I always felt like me making music, I always felt like for a while I felt like it was a waste of time because I spent like 4 or 5 years producing beats and then I transitioned to video. Right. And the reason why I transitioned to video was I wanted to promote myself as a music producer. I made a couple of videos for myself and instantly people were like, yo, these are dope. Like, can I get a video? So video took off for me. But I was like, man, like I wasted my time with music because like I didn't do nothing with it. But when I started to make my own content, I realized I had like these skills with audio production, sound design. Now I had these skills as video. And while I was working, while I took that regular job I told you about, I was editing Indian weddings. I would be so bored editing these weddings after a while that I would just listen to like The Breakfast Club and Hot 97 and like podcasts. And I fell in love with this voice. Like I fell in love with someone being inside my head and just like having that connection and laughing. So I was like, I want to do that. Like I didn't know how, but I always disliked my voice. Growing up, I did not like my voice. So I was like a little bit scared to do that. But I realized I'm like, okay, I have audio production skills, video skills, and I want to do this like kind of like radio thing. So I just started slowly making content. And the first piece I made was, you know, classic introvert. Like it was from like, I shot myself from behind. So you never even saw me. And I put voiceover, like my own sound design I made, and I put a video out and people loved it. And then the next video I made, I got a little bit more warmed up on camera, and this time I did a like side angle so you can kind of see my face this time. Put it out, people loved it. Then slowly as it transitioned, you would see me get more comfortable on camera, and then I was like directly to the camera, being transparent about who I am, and now talking about my experiences in life and my journey, and that started to resonate. And then I started to like before, people in the past would hit me up and be like, bro, what you're doing is inspiring because like you're working with people and they're like, this is dope. But like people started hitting me up telling me, yo, what you said really shifted my perspective and it really changed my life today. And I was like, whoa, like all I'm doing is I'm just healing myself. Like when I create, I'm basically like, I like to make sense of things. So something happens in my life or I observe something, I make sense of it. I like to study emotions and then I heal from it. I learn from it. And then I want to create out of it. And then I create out of it. And to me, that feels like the completion of the process. And then I put it out. Yeah, it's really a healing process for myself. I'm not waking up like, how can I inspire people? I'm like, how can I learn about myself today? How can I like, you know,
how can I process what when this thing happened, what emotions did I feel?
How did it, exactly. Yeah. And then my way of completing the process is by documenting it, is by creating something out of it. And then I put it out. And then I notice, wow, when I heal myself and I create, then other people seem to be inspired and gravitate towards it. So it's like this amazing, sustainable cycle.
Yeah. Heal yourself, heal the world, right?
Right. And then I'm like, then it clicked. I'm like, boom, I found purpose. I found what I was supposed to do. I understand, you know, these 6-7 years before this that have literally like groomed me to have like, because I'm in a good place in creating wise because, you know, like when I came here, I was able to like, you know, get the podcast going for us, click the mic, because I have audio production skills, I have video production skills, and then I did all this study of self, so I have full control of my content. Like I can control my narrative, right? I can control my story the way I want. I don't have to go to nobody to help me. I'm in full control of it, and that's like a beautiful place for me to be right now because anything I want to do creatively, I can do it, and I could do it the way I want to do it. And this is like, I think my whole life I've been working to get to this place. And now I just feel like, even though it's been a long run, now I'm just starting.
Yeah. This is a new phase of your journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a whole new chapter. A
So
good one.
For you, spirituality and work is combined. It's similar. It's
Yeah, because creativity and like my creativity is a means of survival for me.
mm-hmm.
If I'm not creating for myself, doing what I love, my spirit will go down. I experience this all the time. You know, just even recently, I get really busy because I do videos for other people and companies and brands, and I'll get very busy with work. And let's say I can go make a lot of money, but money will only offer me a peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
I know my bills are paid, cool, everything's good, but it doesn't boost my spirit. Money doesn't do nothing for my spirit. It just gives me a little peace of mind. But if I don't make content, if I don't do what I love the most, my spirit decreases.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I start to become that kid, quiet again, and less confidence. As soon as I make content, I feel alive. I feel powerful. I feel confident. So it's a means of survival.
Mm-hmm.
And my spirituality, my creativity is one. It's combined. They're like reflections of each other. When I express one, the other feeds off of it.
Right. You mentioned that you edited Indian wedding videos, and I wanted to, kind of ask you how you got involved with the Indian community, and also, you went to India as well. I wanted to talk about your trip as well.
Yeah, so I started editing Indian weddings for a company, and I actually started to fall in love with the culture through the weddings because of the colors. I was like, man, these weddings are amazing. Like, there's so much colors. People, first I was just editing them. I wasn't shooting them. I was like, there's so much going on. Then I started shooting them. I'm like, wow, like they go all out for these. This is amazing. And I just like started really falling in love with like Indian culture. Then I would start to do so many weddings, and I'm like, I was like,
seen it already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I had the opportunity after that to go to India. One of my brothers, Arki Kandola, he was like, he made a joke about how he's gonna go to India and find a wife. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, I'm gonna go to India, like put an ad in the newspaper, and it's like, go find a wife. I'm like, that's crazy, bro. Like, you have to come let me document that. And then we went 6 months later. So he took me to his pen. We went to Jalandhar, and we stayed there for like 3-4 weeks, and like we shot a bunch. And that was like, man, when I went there, it was definitely a pivotal point in my life because, I was learning a lot. I was tuning into my spirituality. So to go to India is obviously a very spiritual place. And that was just an amazing experience. Experience to go there. I went to the Golden Temple like twice that time.
Yeah.
That was amazing to me because when he showed me the Golden Temple back home, I looked at the picture and I was like, I have to go there.
Yeah.
Like I had this connection. I'm like, I have to go there.
Mm-hmm.
And when we got there, I just felt like complete bliss. And life's so blessed, I ended up going back again next year.
Yeah.
And this time when we went to India, I went the first time I stayed in Punjab. So we were just like basically in Jalandhar. But the second time, I got to go to Mumbai, Delhi, Shimla. We were in Goa. We're in, where was it? Kerala? Kerala?
Yeah.
We went to so many places, Chandigarh. We went so many places. So I got to see like the whole, a big spectrum of India and how diverse it was all over. I'm like, wow. So at the same time, like I was editing, Indian weddings, and then I go to India twice. And then when I come back, I'm starting to release a little bit of India content. I haven't even released like 90% of it, but I released some. So obviously that will attract people in the Indian community. They're like, who's this black guy in India making content? And it's not like he's just like, he's like in Jalandhar. People always get like tripped out when I tell them I was in Jalandhar because they think, oh, you've been to India, you were like in Delhi. Yeah. But when they're like, oh, you spent most of your time in Jalandhar, I was like, yeah, I've been to Golden Temple like 4 or 5 times now. Yeah. So that started to spark interest in, I guess, like the Indian community. And I just had like a strong pull to the Indian community. And then from there, I don't know, like it just, for some reason, it's like, it's weird because of like the weddings and my time in India and then my friends and like, obviously like with Arki and then knowing AK and like, I just somehow, the Indian community has really like gravitated towards me and like really has shown me a lot of love. Yeah. Like right now, like I work a lot with that community. I feel like that's the community I'm a part of. And it's weird because it was this trickle effect. Like I just started editing weddings, end up in India. Then I end up in this whole community in Vancouver and Surrey of new people. And now it's like so much love. Even AK and them were just joking about it. They're like, bro, like everybody knows you in the community now. I was like, I know, it's crazy. I'm like, I know like everybody as well. Yeah.
He was saying what Nav was saying. Heinz is the only black person in
Yeah.
in Surrey.
It's just funny, but again, it's just like, yeah, and it's really a blessing though, because I love the community, and people really show me like genuine support.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I could go to like, I was at like a wedding event the other day, and I walk in and it's like I know so many people. Like it's like it's so funny. Like it's just like normal now. It's like know so many people. I can walk into any space and it's like, oh yeah, this person, this person, this person.
Yeah.
But everyone shows me a lot of love. Like people share my videos, people hit me up and show me like mad support. So it's cool. Like I think it's just like, I think people must have resonated that like whatever I was doing was authentic, because they felt like when I went to India, like even Arki says, he's like, we had some other people come with us to India the second time, and he's like, man, you absorb India different than other people, because other people go to temples, they're like, this is cool, but like me, I'm like, I really absorb it and I take it in. And like they even left, I stayed there for the day, just like walking around that city by myself, and just like I just really absorb India. And to me, I'm like, I see myself going back and back and back any opportunity I get.
Yeah. Well, even the way you portrayed, like I saw some of the content you released from India, even the way you portrayed it, it was done very beautifully. Like it was, like you felt a connection with what was happening there.
Mm-hmm.
And normally when people shoot India, there's a very specific narrative that they try to push.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very refreshing. And I think that's kind of what drew the community, because you were really showing us.
Right.
And you were showing the love that was there, and the joy that was there as well.
Because I feel like I had an authentic experience.
Yeah.
And so definitely because of Arki, I was able to have that experience. Because you're right, a lot of people go to India and go to like the Taj Mahal, they'll be in Mumbai or Delhi, and like they'll do like an edit, and it's beautiful, but it doesn't really show the substance of the people.
Yeah.
And I don't think I was trying to do that, but I think when you have authentic experiences, and then you try, not even try, like your passion is your craft, so you create authentic content. It's just two elements that come together, and that's what you get. And I'm blessed to live in a place where there's a community that was receptive to that, and then like embrace me, because it's actually like opened up new worlds for me now.
Yeah. I think our community is very open and accepting, but so are others around the world. And it's not until you like put yourself in their world do you really understand and kind of open that love up.
Yeah, I learned that too, because I mean, with anybody, like I also experienced within the Indian community, like, I noticed within the Indian community, there's a little bit of people have perceptions of people. It's not like every single person was receptive to me, or even when I was in India, I experienced a couple of people like shouting some things at me and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I realized like a lot of times when people like have discrimination against somebody, or like fear somebody, or just don't like somebody, it's just like a lack of understanding. So I really try to, if I caught bad vibes from somebody, I would just like make it my like duty to like just give love. You know what I'm saying? Like just give love. I just watched this video on YouTube, and this black guy was in a supermarket, and he could like speak like 20 languages, and he went up to these Japanese people and started speaking Japanese. And first they were like, who are you? And then he spoke Japanese, and they were like amazed, and they opened up to him, and they asked him how did he learn. He told them at home, and then they grew this respect for him and this trust for him. Then he went to a Middle Eastern guy and spoke in his native language. Same thing happened, and like he was just building connections. I realized, I'm like, these people, if he didn't do that, they would probably be not as receptive to him, and they'd be kind of like, looking at him with their judgments. But because he could speak their language, they had trust with him, they respected him, and they were interested in him. So when I was in India, or even out here, and I'm in certain spaces where I'm the only person that looks like me, and that happens a lot of time, the only one with dreadlocks, the only black person, if I felt a negative vibe from somebody, I'll just show them love, because I'm realizing, well, maybe they have like a negative perception.
Well, also like love, emotions are the universal language. You cry, you laugh, all of that in the same language. It doesn't matter what dialect you speak. So that definitely builds a connection there once you share a powerful moment like that.
Yeah, because I feel like you can't explain love, but you can express it.
Yeah.
You express love, and then and you build connections, and that's like really what I love doing now, is just like building connections with people. Yeah.
Love, embodying love just feels like you're radiating sunshine, and that's the best way to explain it.
Yeah, for sure.
And you just want others to feel that sunshine as well.
Yeah, for sure. Because I sucked at expressing myself before. Like I grew up I have siblings, but I basically grew up an only child, and also was like mega introvert, social anxiety, so I was not able to express love that easily. You know, you'd have to I always had people very reserved, have walls up. So it's beautiful now that, you know, if I want to, I can like open these doors and I know how to express love. And obviously, as we go in life, we learn even more about people and how to express and how to connect with other kinds of people. And that's my favorite thing to do, is like connecting with people who I normally think I wouldn't connect with.
Yeah.
Like I made a video one time. I was in Value Village and this like old white lady was staring at me, and I was mad because I was like, she probably thinks I'm stealing, just because of like racist situations I've been in my life. My mind went there. Then she walked up to me and she was like, you are like the most beautiful person I've ever seen. And I was like mind blown. I'm like, I can't believe this whole time I was sitting here thinking this woman hates me, but yet she was admiring me. And after that, I was like, I'm removing all limiting beliefs in my mind like that. And then I really started to have fun just like being out in public and like making friends with the person that's in the Starbucks lineup with me for 10 minutes. Or like I notice like a lot of times I'm like, I go to the same supermarket every day. I say these people, I'm like, these people should be like my extended family. Like I go to this cashier, I see them 4 times a week. Like I need to talk to them. So I took a lot of pride in building these connections within my community. And, you know, this person would be a little old Asian lady. Maybe this person was like 50 years old, white guy. This person, somebody who looks just like me, but like just building those connections and realizing like, yo, we all truly are one. And when you just like kind of just, you know, express that love and remove the, you know, the beliefs in your mind. Sometimes it's true. Sometimes people don't like you, but I just don't move around like that no more. I don't move around that I don't assume that nobody likes me. I don't assume that no more. Even if they don't, I just don't even think about it. Yeah. I don't think about it. And if they don't like me, I'm just going to show my authentic self. And I feel like chances are they'll like me. And if they still don't, I don't care. I still win. You know
exactly. You can't control how another person receives or perceives you.
Right.
You can only be happy and content with yourself. So as long as, you know, you're living blessed, like, that's it. That's the only thing that matters. What's the next country on the list then? So you've been to India a few times. Is that like the only, you know?
Well, I've been a few countries. Like where have I been in my life? I've been to India a few times. I go to Jamaica like every year. Been to Brazil, like America, Mexico, and I've traveled a little bit. But if I had to say, if I could go anywhere right now, it would be Africa. So I'd be going to like Ghana. I'd be going to Nigeria. I'd be going to Morocco. I'd be going to Egypt, and I'd be going to South Africa. I have like a major connection with Africa, and I just haven't had the opportunity to go yet. I actually did have an opportunity actually a month ago. I just lied, but I had to pass on it. But Africa is somewhere I truly want to go. But it seems like right now that, you know, even like the African community, I love like the music in the African community. So I hope I can go. But right now I don't have any trips planned. I never really make plans to go anywhere.
It just happens.
Yeah, everywhere I've gone, I'm blessed. Everywhere I've gone, I've basically been flown or taken. The only places I now go like and book on my own are Jamaica, because it's like a ritual for me every year. I go to Jamaica.
It's like how brown people go to India every year.
This is a ritual. You go back to your roots, you know, connect and ground yourself, whatever. There's an energy there. You know, I think it's important to go to where you're from, right? There's a connection there, also a spiritual connection. But yeah, I don't have no plans to go nowhere. I'm really focused actually on just being grounded here in my community. I'm very busy, and my number one thing is I just want to make content, and I want to get consistent with my content. Like I haven't been consistent because I do video as a job, like as a career. Right. Sometimes it's very hard trying to, you know, make my own content and then make all these other people's content. I make a lot of content, but no one sees it because I don't post it. If you go to my Instagram, it's mainly my content. It's mainly what I do. I don't even have a website with a portfolio up or nothing up. Like I do work for people, and then I try to get back to my thing. But right now I'm really focused on trying to put my all into what I do and merge my passions, priorities, and purpose. Yeah. Because I feel like right now my priorities are a little bit different than my passion and purpose. I feel like I get the opportunity to be like a creative and work from home and have my own schedule. But I would love to migrate everything into one and be fully doing what I do over in hindsight and with my channel and my content and just push that out to the world and give it its all. So it's a journey to get there. But right now I'm really focused on developing a system where I can do that. Yeah.
It's important. It's expressing yourself creatively is like a lost art. I feel, you know, we're told to be in this rat race, go to school, go to university, get a job, retire, die type of thing. When nowhere in between are we really taught like, hey, express yourself, feed your soul, put love out there, you know, be love, express love, all of that. It's really important to now we have this time to explore that and to realize that this is not the only way we can live. And, you know, ignorance is bliss, but ignorance is also a choice. You have options to learn now.
An abundant options, like limitless options to learn. That's true.
Literally, like the internet has everything you could want on there.
It's true. You can learn everything's at our fingertips. We do like live in like one of the greatest times.
Yeah.
Right now, at this point, you can literally learn everything. You can run a business from your phone. It's like amazing.
Yeah. How else do you plan on creatively kind of expressing yourself? Is audio and visual it? Are you going to be, you know, expressing yourself maybe on the big screen? Is there maybe a movie in the mix?
So like right now, audio visual is like my main focus, and I really want to double down on audio. I love like audio experiences, so I really want to get into long form content. So basically almost like podcasts, but like not even with guests, just like making my own style of long form content. Movies and whatnot, it's interesting because I'm in film and I make videos. People always ask me like, who are your favorite directors? Like, what are your favorite films? And the very interesting thing is I don't have the urge as of yet to make a movie. It's not something that's like brewing in me, like I can't wait to make a movie. I do want to make a docu-series. I'd love to. There's a woman, Chelsea Handler, she had her own docu-series on Netflix, and I thought it was just so cool. I was like, I'd love to have my own docu-series in hindsight. So like that's something like later in life for sure, like on a bigger platform with a budget where I can like utilize my community and really bring like my circle of creators and create something. But right now it's just audio visual, just content, and you know, just not simplifying the content, but just getting more consistent with it. But audio and visual is my forte.
Have you seen Anthony Bourdain's docuseries on Netflix?
No, I haven't. I should check it out.
I'm in season 7 now, and like I absolutely love it because you're exploring all these countries and you're getting to see a side that you normally wouldn't see. Right. Because food is so personal. Yeah, it is. And it's an expression on its own. It's an art on its own. So you really see like a completely different side. And it's like, I feel like I'm taking like mini field trips to these places, and like it's been making me want to go travel. Right.
I'd love to do something like that. I'd love to do. I also like, it's not really a docu-series, but kind of. But I like Chef's Table a lot. Yeah. It's like my favorite show. There's amazing sound design, and like the cinematography is just crazy in there. Plus the food is amazing. Yeah.
But what are some projects that you are working on right now? Can you talk about any of them? Or?
Yeah, I have a documentary. I have a couple projects. So I have like 2 lengthy projects that I'm trying to finish hopefully by the end of the year. So one is let's call it like a short documentary with a brand called THC. His name is Spencer. So he opened up a dispensary many years. He's like one of the pioneers in the cannabis industry in the city and within Canada. And during the transition from Canada legalizing weed, we documented the whole process, and we documented his store closing down and everything, which was like, it just came into a perfect timing. So we documented that whole process, but we had to kind of wait till putting the whole thing out and like getting everything done while, you know, we had to wait for him to get approved again, and that shop was opening it up. So we just had to play it safe. So I'm going to release that. That's with THC. That's going to be, you know, like a cannabis inspired documentary. And then I have all this India content that I want to put out. Now, I shot it with my brother Arki. He wants to put it out as like a long form piece of content, but I'm kind of battling him for years. Obviously, this has been years I've had the content. I'm kind of battling him on the idea. I want to put it out how I put out my content. Like I want to make it interactive, and I want to put it out like every day in like smaller segments, and like
kind of telling a story.
And I want feedback off of the community and then creating off of that. So like I want to, because we interviewed and talked to some certain people about like sensitive topics and things, and I want to put things out and get people's perspectives on it, and grab those perspectives and then put it back into the next segment and make it an interactive experience. Like that hasn't really been done before. He wants to go like the route of creating a documentary. I hope he hears this. He wants to go the route of creating a documentary. I'm gonna send it to him.
We'll add him.
He wants to go the route of like submitting it to I'm not interested in that. I don't want to submit it to film festivals. Like, to me, I'm not into that. I like having full control in what I do. So like when I make content and I can post it online and I could like make stories, and that's, to me, I'm like, that's how I play the best.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I love that. My favorite way to share is Instagram stories. That's like beyond every platform. I love Instagram stories, but unfortunately they disappear in 24 hours.
Yeah.
But those are two big projects that I'm working on. I would say bigger. And then my own stuff. And then also I do work within like, you know, the community and stuff. And it's like a lot of video projects. But my main focus is doubling down on what I do.
Yeah.
And creating a really dope visual audio experience.
What's been your most favorite project that you've done?
Like my own piece of work that I put out, or like something I've done. Oh,
like in your career, like what was been
my favorite thing actually was, I remember. So I'm a major Bob Marley fan. Like Bob Marley to me is just like, he's like Jesus to me. He's a prophet. You understand? Like to me, I'm just like, I love Bob Marley. Growing up, I always resonated with Bob, and I've always been sad that I would never get to meet him. I was like, this is never gonna happen. But I was always like, I would love to work with the Marley brand. So I remember I had this studio, we called it Triangle Park, downtown on Granville. It was really big, and I put up a big mural of Bob in it. It was massive, and I documented the process. I made a video out of it, and then just like Ja came through with the blessings, and his daughter ended up seeing it, and she shouted me out on like Facebook. She's like, "Yo, big up Mr. Hines." She shouted out the video, and then this guy named Bally, who's like a pioneer in the cannabis industry right now in Jamaica. Rolling Stones just did a cover on him. He hit me up, and he was running Marley Coffee, Rohan Marley's, Bob's other son, one of his sons. And they're like, "Yo, we love that mural. Can you come out here and do that for us?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I commissioned the two guys I had to do the project with me. We go out to Denver like the next week, do this big Marley of Rohan Marley, and then from there I started working with Marley Coffee and doing like commercials for them and things like that. But the thing I loved about that project the most was 1 year before that, I tweeted, "I'm going to work with the Marley brand."
Yeah.
And then a year later, I did it. And to me, that was like proof of like visioning something, and then it coming to manifestation, and then me executing. And like even when I went out there, I was like, okay, we're going out here to do the mural, but I want to do more.
Yeah. The power of the mind, the power of manifestation.
Right. And then putting action to it, then it's like beautiful. So that's my favorite thing, just because the Marleys are like number one to me. So I'm like, I was like so happy when I did that out of everything. Still, I'm like, that's my favorite thing ever.
That's awesome. Yeah. What would be like your next, the next project that you really want to work on with someone else?
Ooh, wow. What would I want to work on with somebody else?
Like if you had any option that you could create anything you wanted for anyone.
You know what's so weird about that? That one's hard for me to answer, because I don't have right now I hope this doesn't sound like cocky or anything. I don't have any desires of working with any certain people. I really like believe in what I'm doing, and I really want to like focus on like there's like people. I had this conversation the other day, and people were like, I said something on Instagram or put out a video. I'm like, sometimes I feel like I'm in this unsustainable cycle, and someone said to me like, "You're always creating." I'm like, yeah, but I'm creating for other people.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and I've done things again, like, you know, like Tory Lanez to me was like my favorite artist at one point. I worked with him.
Yeah.
But like, I get the most gratitude and like energy from creating the stuff I create for myself, because I sit there and I watch back and I'm like, oh man, that was fun. This is beautiful. I heal myself, and it's amazing. And what I want to do is I just want to create opportunities. So like when you say, who do you like to work with? I want to work with my team. I want to create opportunities. I want to be able to give opportunities to my friends. I have an amazing circle who are all talented. I got people who are like amazing at sound design. I got people amazing at film. I got people amazing at motion graphics. I want to be able to they're all doing their thing too. But I want to be able to give opportunities and for us to come together on a project. So if anything, it's going to be like my home team.
Yeah. Put your team on, right? I saw that you documented when they did Nipsey's memorial in Vancouver. What musically, what kind of other artists? You said Bob Marley, reggae really influences you, but who kind of from our generation do you feel like had the right idea and really kind of influenced you in any way?
So Bob definitely, Nipsey was one. I would also have to say Jay-Z's one just because of a lifelong career, and even seeing him, I think he's almost 50 or he is 50, and he's still reinventing himself as an artist. And to see all the activism work he does with his platform is really inspiring to me. Kanye's always inspired me because growing up I always felt like I related to Kanye as Kanye was like, he'll say all the time, I was the guy in the pink polo, you know, I was the non-gangster dude. And I feel like growing up in Vancouver, there was always like a lack of black people in Vancouver. There wasn't a lot of us. So like you go to school with all white people and stuff, and they expect you to be a certain way. They expect you to be like a gangster. They expect you to be like Dipset. So Kanye was like somebody who I related to. I'm like, nah, I'm a little bit preppy. I'm a little bit like this, you know?
Yeah.
And Kanye's always just changed the game like that. And then there's other people I like a lot. Like I really like Vince Staples. I think he's like really dope. I think he's witty. Growing up as well, those are some of my favorites. And then at the same time, I love like what J. Cole.
Yeah.
I've always resonated with J. Cole. Like a lot of his albums, I feel like the things he talks about, I've been going through. He had an album called Born Sinner, and everything he talked about, I was going through. And then we both started our dreads at the same time.
Yeah.
So like he went like he had the same thing. He had like a bald fade, and we both grew our hair at the same time. So I just always felt like I had like an alignment with him, and we're both biracial, black and white.
Did you listen to his album that he dropped yesterday?
No, I haven't got to it. I heard it's amazing, top to bottom.
Yeah. I've been like listening to it on repeat.
Really?
I had difficulty downloading it because I guess so many people were trying to get at it.
I heard there's a documentary too, or like a 30-minute video.
Yeah.
I want to watch.
Yeah, I really like seeing his growth too.
It's amazing.
Because he, like, there was him, Drake, Kendrick, and like a couple other people that kind of all emerged on the scene at the same time. And it's just interesting to see where their journeys took them and where they're currently at, and also their influence and how they're using it. And does that, like, that made me mindful of how I started my journey and being, you know, anonymous and controlling the narrative and stuff. Did you think about that at all?
Yeah, the way J. Cole does things, it's inspiring. It's also inspiring because like he resonates with people. So he has like a cult-like fan base. There's a reason why he doesn't have to pump out content all the time, because he has this fan base that will, like, they love him. They'll wait 2 years. He'll come around and he'll give them a classic and a feeling, and he'll change lives. And he's grounded. Like, you know, he rides his bike through New York still. Like, it's so funny. I love Twitter, and you'll be on Twitter and people just take pictures of J. Cole, like, just by himself on his bicycle, like, through New York, as big as he is, you know, like dreadlocks swinging. And he's just a grounded individual. And the way he's cultivated his career is he's definitely cultivated it to his personality. Like, he's not on the gram. He's not sharing. He's not getting into politics. Like, he just makes his art, and I'm sure he does things that we don't know about. Like, I'm sure he's helping communities that we don't even know about. You know what I'm saying? So the way he's navigated his career is definitely very, very inspiring. And he's young, you know, he's like 31 years old. Yeah. You know, and he's got still so much more time to go. So I can't even imagine by the time he's like Hov's age, like the things he'll be doing. Yeah.
Do you think this is going to be the new thing now? A lot more people following their creative passions. Do you see that trend happening, or is it still people are kind of still stuck in the matrix, so to say?
I think it's going to be both. The thing is, people are going to be in the matrix, like we're saying, because that's what I watched this TED Talk the other day, and one guy said, like, if you go after your true creative purpose and passions, know that you may not receive as much light as the person who decides to go more of an opt-out and play the game a bit. Right? Like, if you think about J. Cole and Drake is a much bigger artist than J. Cole. Yeah. Drake is an amazing artist too. He plays the game though, right? He plays the game, and because of that, he's a lot more bigger than J. Cole. Well, I don't know who's happier, but they're both, seems like they're living their truth. So I think people are always going to continue to like be in the matrix, troll, do things for clicks and hits. And I think certain people who want to be around, like, I see myself as a lifelong creative. Like, I've always said, like, I feel like my best work will be in my 50s. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people think like, yo, I got to kill it in my 20s, and then 30s, I'm going to buy a big house, and in my 40s, I retire. I'm like, are you kidding me? In my 50s, 60s, I'm going to still be creating. Like, I want to create decor later in life. Yeah. And I want to.
I saw that you're into furniture and stuff.
Yeah. Hella. Yeah. That's going to be something I do like later in life. But I also want to do a audio visual TED Talk. So basically what I do online, I want to create that experience in a live setting. And it's very interesting because growing up, my biggest fear was always public speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Hated speeches every year, hated English class. I hated doing that shit, just hated it. But like now it's like where I find purpose. Like I tell God telling me all the time, like, you got to go that way. So I think regardless, people are going to choose both ways. I think it's just, and I don't think either way is right or wrong. Obviously it sounds better to like choose your passion and your purpose and go that way. But whatever way you want to go, like maybe you want to like be really, 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 really successful. And for you to do that, you have to play the game,
right?
You know, and that's, if that's where you want to go, cool. I definitely know the route I take is like going to things take longer.
Right.
Like I could have had a big social media following already if I just like continued to do what I was doing. Cause I was around people where I would just, their social media followings would have lifted over to mine. You know what I'm saying? But I've always wanted to build my thing from the ground up, and building your thing from the ground up takes time and patience and sacrifice. And I believe in the long run, I am reaping the benefits because I'm living, the journey is the benefit. You know, I don't think there's no end process but I think in the long run, I'll be happy with my decision.
That's awesome. Well, you know, I want to kind of wrap things up a little bit. What do you want to put out there right now? What is the message that you want to send out? You know, definitely plug your content and where we can find you, but what do you want to say to everyone?
Well, my whole thing right now again is like merging passion, priorities, and purpose. And if I would just want to tell people, like, figure out what your passions are, figure out if they align with your purpose, and then figure out what your priorities are. And if you can align all three, I think that's when you become a very powerful human being. And that doesn't mean like if you don't have those things in alignment, that like, you're in a bad place, because you could be working at Wendy's and everything's in alignment still, because like maybe at Wendy's you're gaining the customer service skills, or like the shit you take from your boss is like harnessing a skill in you that you're going to need later for your life. So like I think having gratitude for where you are, but also like knowing where you want to go is very important. Like all the time I feel like I'm like, oh man, like I want to be doing more, but I know I'm harnessing skills where I'm at that are going to benefit me later. So to me, I just want to tell people, like, really think about what your passions are, what's your purpose, and what's your priorities, and how do you honor all three of those, and can those also come into one? Because I think really that's where you can become like a sustainable human being and be energizing yourself, if you could figure that out. Besides that, people can find me on Instagram, Hindsight, HINDZSIGHT, and find me on YouTube. I'm going to be plugging a lot away at YouTube. Hines, you can type in Hindsight as well, you'll find me on there. And yeah, those are the main two platforms. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's Mr. Hines. I'll let off some thoughts there sometimes. You made it to the end. Thank you, tribe. Glad y'all tuned into that. It's a blessing to know people can actually sit and listen to long form content. I love long form content. So thank you for vibing with me on this one. I'm going to bring more long form content to the channel soon. And yeah, let me know what you thought about that podcast. If anything stuck out, if there's anything you would like me to speak on or touch on again, let me know. Drop a comment. And yeah, you don't know, in hindsight, everything gonna be all right. We powered by Ja. And it's a vibe thing. I'll see you tomorrow.